Had to make a quick one, very quick one, I promise. It is just bothering me how I see the term TRT being misused every day, especially on YouTube comments from people. It's just ignorance. You can't blame someone who's ignorant because they don't know any better. So when someone's on a steroid cycle now, they say, I'm on TRT, or when people are asking about cycles, they refer to them as TRT. No, TRT and a cycle like a bodybuilder would follow to get big in the off season or to stay big and get ripped for competition. Totally different. TRT stands for testosterone replacement therapy. It is prescribed by a doctor, and all it is you get enough testosterone to bring you up to normal levels. This is for people either whose bodies have stopped producing testosterone due to aging or because they abuse steroids for many years, like myself. I would have eventually probably needed it someday, but I needed it right around age 40 because I've been on steroids on and off, mostly on since 27. Or someone who never had enough testosterone production to begin with, taking that down. There are men who are born with very low testosterone. Well, not born, because I guess it doesn't. You know what I'm saying? They never had much testosterone. They had inadequate. So the range of normal total testosterone, generally speaking, normal range goes from like 300 to 1,000. So anywhere in there is what doctors would consider normal. So if you're in that range, no doctor that wants to keep his medical license would write you a prescription for testosterone because you already have enough. You don't need any more. You don't need replacement if you already have it. So most people on testosterone replacement therapy, their dose is typically between 100 and 200. 200 is very, very average. Most people I know who are on TRT get 200 milligrams of testosterone a week. They're not on any other steroids, okay? It's just that. And it takes them from maybe their natural testosterone production levels, a total level, was down to like 150 or 200. This will take them into usually a high normal range, somewhere between 500 and 1,000, where they look and feel fine. It's not enough. This 200 milligrams a week, or 250 on the high end. Very, very rare cases I've seen at 300. It's not enough to get big and jacked and huge. For that, you would need a lot more testosterone. You need to throw in things like Deca, Equipoise, Tren, Anadrol, Dianabol, insulin, all those other drugs. But guys who are on all those drugs now will say, I'm on TRT. You're not on TRT. You're on a cycle. So it's just frustrating to see that term being used incorrectly every day. I don't know how that started, because TRT is testosterone replacement therapy. It is not a drug cycle. A steroid cycle is just a cycle. Looks like we already got some comments from you guys. Let's see what you got to say. What do you got to say? Hope that leaf blower. Someone's always using a freaking leaf blower on you. Yeah, and also another thing I've noticed is TRT is the new fake natty. A lot of guys who are on, a gram or 2 grams of test plus all these other drugs, they'll lie and say, I'm just on TRT. And that's like the new fake natty, guys who are claiming to be natural, but they're actually on steroids. Now, you have a bunch of guys who are on plenty of steroids, but they claim, I'm just on TRT. And that, in the eyes of a lot of people, that makes them better people. Like, oh, he's not on a bunch of steroids. He's just on TRT. Meanwhile, he's 250 pounds ripped. Yeah, you're not 250 pounds ripped on 100 to 200 milligrams of test a week only. That's just not possible. Let's see. Simon Green, TRT, if required, bro. Let the body be as natural as possible. I genuinely think that's where the body wants to be. Yeah, if you're a young guy, your body's still making plenty of testosterone. Typically, your own body's testosterone production doesn't start declining until around age 30. And even then, you still should have a good amount of testosterone up till about 40, 45. And then maybe your natural levels will be low enough that you'll need TRT. I hear from a lot of guys who are in their 40s and even 50s who still make enough. They've never used steroids and they still have enough natural testosterone that they don't even need to consider TRT, getting a therapeutic dose. Let's see, Mr. Wasn't that a band? Yeah. I had to quit a cycle of test E after only 1 week. Do I need PCT for that? No. You don't need PCT for a 1 week cycle. No. Jerry, I love MD. 10 years natural training. Thank you. You're welcome. Julian, first case of Omicron in California. Oh, we're not talking about the virus and the pandemic. No, 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 no. Omicron was one of the Transformers, wasn't he? It was Optimus Prime, Omicron, and no. Prince Sports Cars. Actually, I've been 1,000% off everything and anything since April. So your title is offensive. LOL, kidding, bruh. Simon Green, I doubt you would. What was your blood work saying at the time? Well, my blood work, my test levels were down to about 200. And I gave myself a year and a half for them to try to come back to normal. So this is like when I was around 39. And they never, after a year and a half, they still weren't back. So I went to a doctor and I got TRT. And I was on TRT through a doctor legitimately for a couple of years. And the prices kept going up. And I decided I want to start blasting and cruising again, which I know, not the smartest thing. I never said I was the smartest guy. But I was only on legitimately doctor-prescribed TRT for, I think it was between 2 and 3 years. We tried the pellets on my ass. Those came out. And then after that, we did the androgel. He didn't want to prescribe like anything I had to inject. I don't know. I would have had to go to his clinic, which is like an hour away with traffic and then parking, just to get a shot every week. So no. Prince Sport LMO Transformers. Yes, it was Unicron. Oh, was there a Transformer called Unicron? I knew it was something. I was just joking, but it sounds to me Omnicron. Omnicron sounds like a planet the Transformers came from, or one of the Transformers. James Gary from Bayshore Athletic Club in Braintree. Would someone considering test at 300 milligrams a week require an AI? Okay, that really depends on the individual and what your estrogen levels are and the symptoms you have. I have super high estrogen. I do not use AIs. Never have. Never plan to. When I competed, I would use them for the last few weeks just to help get the stubborn body fat off the hams and the glutes. But AIs crash your good cholesterol, your HDL. So if you don't need AIs, if you don't need an anti-aromatase, something to really block the estrogen for the aromatization process, don't take it. I was all set to start taking Remedex on my own. I was going to get some, I don't know, off the black market, off the internet, whatever. I was going to get some to start using it. And Dr. Thomas O'Connor, the anabolic doc, we talked about it. And he said, no. Let me see your labs. And then he says, how do you feel? And there was no need for it. So, yeah. If you don't need AIs, don't take AIs. Prince Sports Cars. I did gear under a coach for a solid year. With all these deaths, I'm just staying on the safe side and staying natty. A few years away from 30, yeah. If you want to be perfectly healthy and take no chances, do not take steroids. Do not take steroids. There's no 100% safe way to take steroids. There isn't. There just isn't. I've been very, very lucky. A lot of people clearly have not been very lucky, as lucky. We got people dying. We got people with heart problems, congestive heart failure, guys in their 30s and 40s, kidney failure, all kinds of liver problems, all kinds of problems. So steroids are risky. You might be very lucky like me. You might be very unlucky, and I didn't even want to talk about it. You might leave. Let's see. Theophilos Spyropoulos. I'm guessing you're from Greece, or are you Greek? Ron, you're right, but it's up to the genetics. And also as the years pass, more and more men suffer from hypogonadism. Yes. I saw it myself, jumped on, never looked back. Good evening from Greece. Oh, yeah, Greece. Yeah, it's frightening to see the testosterone, the natural testosterone levels of men dropping due to all these chemicals. There's all these chemicals in the environment, in all the products in our households. We're seeing all these young kids now with low testosterone, low sperm count, erectile dysfunction. That really breaks my heart. Young men should be full of piss and vinegar, and young, dumb, and full of cum. They shouldn't have to deal with guys in their 20s now having to deal with that shit. From chemicals, from things that are in our foods and household products. No, it's not cool. Not cool at all. Theophilos also said more young men percentages. Yeah, more men are suffering from hypogonadism. It's frightening. It's scary, and I don't. Yeah. Prince Sports Cars took a solid 4 months to get my natural test back. Yeah, this whole thing, like with PCT in general, I'm not a doctor. I'm not a steroid expert. I don't claim to be, but I used to do PCT. I tried it a couple times, and I didn't notice. It got me back to normal a little faster, but when I was in my 20s, I started steroids at 27. I'd say from 27 to 35 or 36, I would always bounce right back. It would take a month or two after I would stop a cycle, because I used to take months off between cycles. It would take time, but I would get my own test levels back, and then I'd stay like that for a couple months, and then I'd go back on gear. So I would be like on for 4 months, off for 4 months, roughly over and over and over again like that. But eventually, I tried PCT once or twice and like, it's kind of a waste of money and taking all this shit. Because eventually and eventually once your testosterone levels, once your production is gone, it's gone. All the PCT in the world is not going to bring it back. I could take all the, Nolvadex, Clomid, HCG, all that shit. It's not going to make my own body produce testosterone again. Those days are done. That ship has sailed. Okay. Androgel sucks. Yeah. Androgel's a pain in the ass. I mean, you got to sit there and rub it. And a lot of it gets wasted. That's a problem. That's what really frustrated me is only a small percentage of what you put on actually gets absorbed. Brian McNamara, price is going up. Cost me $25 a month for my 200 milligram prescription. That's not through insurance. I had insurance and I was getting Androgel. When I first got it, it was a bottle. I went to a bottle a month. It was like 5 milligrams a squirt. It was like $30 when I first got it, and within a year it had gone up to like 50 or 55. And a year after that, it was like it was 60. I'm like, screw this. I decided at that point I'm just going to do this on my own. And I didn't do TRT anymore. I would cruise on TRT, cruise on 200 or 300 milligrams a week. Now I cruise on 400 milligrams a week all the time. Don't judge. Anyway, judge not lest ye be judged. How was that? Yeah, the prices went up on that shit. Dude, prescriptions in general, the prices always go up. They never go down. Robin Bondio, I didn't know you had tattoos, boss. Where have you been? I got all kinds of tattoos. Yeah. If you look at my old, some of the throwback pictures I throw up on my Instagram at Ron Harris Muscle, you'll see that prior to like age 32, I didn't have any tattoos. I started getting them all later in life. Midlife crisis kind of thing. Didn't get tattoos. Eventually, it's Theophilus again. Eventually, if you do a lot of cycles, cruising will be the way, people. Yeah, after a certain amount of cycles, your body just won't produce test anymore, and you're going to have to be on some amount of test all the time. That's just the reality of it. So it's just like, if you make yourself through whatever, it's kind of like insulin. You can make yourself diabetic through various abuses of different drugs, and then you're going to have to be on insulin the rest of your life. What a great analogy that was, huh? Ron is right. I saw it in the same person. James Gary, awesome. Thanks, brother. See you at Bayshore. Yeah. You train at a different time than me, James. I rarely see you. Okay, so Theophilus Spiropoulos says he ran 500 milligrams test, no AI. HDL was perfect. Then he ran it again after more than double the time off with AI just to test it, and his HDL was off. Yeah, I mean, I'm not making this up. I know from talking to Dr. T and Dr. O'Connor that, AIs are bad news for your good cholesterol. They crash it. So you want the good cholesterol. The LDL is the bad one. You don't want high levels of that, but you do want to have good range of your HDL. I don't know what the range is. F for you, Corsair. 200 test and 100 masked right now. Just TRT. In all seriousness, it's a mild blast. Otherwise, I would drop down to 150 week at max. Yeah, that's a very mild cycle, but it is a cycle. Anytime you're adding something onto it, you can't just say you're on TRT. Like I try to never say TRT. I try to never say I'm on TRT because I'm not. But all these people, I talk to people that are on like 500 milligrams of test, 500 milligrams of DECA, some D-ball, insulin, GH. What else could they be on? And they say, I'm on TRT. You're not on TRT, bro. Here we go. J-Dog, I hear TRT test. What is considered steroids? Steroids are, the classic. They're all derivatives of testosterone. So the main one, the most popular ones are the testosterone, which you have just different esters. Most people are on either cypionate or enanthate. You have propionate, which is a faster acting that you have to inject every other day. You have sustanon, which is a blend of short and faster acting esters. So that's test. Then you have DECA, decadurabolin. There's a shorter version that's become popular called MPP, nandrolone, phenylpropionate. You have trenbolone, equipoise, masteron, dianabol, proviron, anabol, anadrol. So those are the classic steroids, but then we use PEDs to describe we throw all the performance enhancing drugs into that category. So that would include steroids, growth hormone, insulin, IGF-1, clenbuterol, thyroid hormones, anything that people use to enhance their physique is PEDs. But steroids are steroids. Typically they're injected or taken in pill form. Rob, this title needs to be said all the time. It's annoying when juicers try to downplay their usage. Yeah, I mean, they do it because they want to get more credit. Because if you say I'm on 1,000 milligrams, if you say you're using high doses, people are like, well, that's why you look like that. But if you say, well, I'm only on this tiny little amount, people go, wow, when you look like that, bro, you the man. So it's just trying to get more credit, because they know anyone that says they're on a high dose of steroids, if they give their doses and they're high, people are going to be like, well, anybody would look that good if they were on that. Is that freaking leaf blower again? Damn it. Seriously. It's like December now. Brian Lee, what's up, Ron? Hope you had a good Thanksgiving. Enjoyed some good food, of course. James Gary, on for 4 months and off for 4 on. Test only? No, when I used to do cycles, it wouldn't be test only. It would be test plus. I always like test with either Deca or Equipoise. Those are my that's my two favorite combinations. Sometimes it would be test and trend. Obviously for a contest, it would be more things like throw in like Masteron, Winstrol tabs, Primobolan. But in the old days, for many years, I would take equal amounts of time on and off steroids. That's just how it was done. That's how we learned, and people didn't stay on back year round back then the way they do now. They didn't. I blame Instagram, because everyone's got to be looking jacked like all the time now, or else everyone's going to say, you're losing your gains, bro. What's going on with that? Let's see what else. Moha Mahmood, why no Big Ramy interview? I would love to interview Big Ramy. I would love to. If anyone out there can make it happen. I've been trying to go through Enhanced Labs, his sponsor, had no luck. And I'm talking, this has been like over a year. Have not been able to get him. I would love to interview Mr. Olympia, of course. I interviewed him at the Olympia briefly at the Meet the Olympians, but I would love to have, on a Zoom where we can sit there and really talk for a good 40 minutes, an hour. I'd love that. Yeah. Believe me, I'm not avoiding a Big Ramy interview. I would love to get Mr. Olympia, 2-time Olympia interview. Yeah, he's the champ. Come on. Let's see. Jay Farrell, Ron, you got one of the best physiques for your age. You're not so big that you're going to drop over either. You're in a good size. Thank you. Yeah, I posted a picture on my Instagram, Ron Harris Muscle, and my Facebook the other day. I used to be in the off season, healthier. I'm getting some blood work done soon. I'll let you guys know how that goes. I get the echocardiogram of my heart once a year. I get an ultrasound. I get a calcium score. So I keep a good eye on my health, because I don't want to die. Nope. Moha Mahmood, you can invite Ramy to interview with DJ. Well, Dennis is his buddy. Dennis gets the interviews with him, because that's his good friend, obviously. Yeah, I don't know how to get a Ramy interview. I've been trying, man. HCG, very important on cycle. This is someone talking about how they use HCG. J-Dog, haha, we really thought androgel was something. Well, it is something. It's testosterone in a gel form, a topical form, and it goes through the membrane, through the skin, but a lot of it gets wasted. I think it's like only 30% of it actually penetrates and gets through, so yeah, it's better than nothing. It's definitely better than nothing, but if you wanted, to get huge on it, you'd have to take a bath in that shit every day. Just a couple squirts rubbing on your arms or whatever is not going to do a whole lot for you. Nathan versus Hunter. I don't know. They've never stood next to each other. Testosterone cream, yeah. The earliest delivery method that I remember hearing about for testosterone was a patch that people had to put on their ball sack, their scrotum. It gets worse. And to make it stick, they had to sit there with a hot air, like a hair dryer, and basically melt it onto their scrotum, their ball sack. Ouch. So we've come a long way, baby. But people did that for years. Do I like Lee Priest? Sure. He's a funny guy. I wouldn't have him on. He's a loose cannon. Especially I would never have him on live. He doesn't care who he offends, who he talks shit about. There are no consequences for Lee. Nobody can ban him. He's already been banned for life. So he doesn't care. He's got nothing to lose. Yeah. But yeah, funny guy. He keeps it real. Great physique. Of course, yeah. Nothing against Lee Priest. Nino Brown, how long after taking TRT will you see results? Now, what are you talking about? Because TRT just replaces your own testosterone. You're talking about steroids, I think, Nino. Are you? How long after taking steroids would you see results? You know, if you're using fast-acting things like pills or fast-acting injectable things like tren acetate, you'd start seeing results within a week or so. But TRT, go back and listen to this, please. TRT is not a cycle. TRT is when a doctor prescribes you a small amount of testosterone because you need it because your body doesn't make enough anymore, and it brings you into normal levels. It is not a cycle. I knew it. I knew somebody was still going to make that mistake. Hola from Costa Rica. I'm gonna be there next year. I won't say when. I don't like to say when I'm going. Going on vacation in Costa Rica with my wife. So I'm looking forward to that. Test levels have been dropping 1% a year for the past 30 years. That is scary. That is really scary. The truth. Thoughts on Chocolate Sinclair messing with Nicholas Vinyard's heart? What? I don't know who either of those people are. Or are those like fake? Are those like pseudonyms for people? I don't know. Nicholas Vinyard, is that who you're trying to say? Are you trying to say Benoit Lapierre? Is that who you're trying to talk about? I have no idea that if Nicholas had heart issues. This is the first I've heard of it. I haven't been following that closely. Sorry. J-Dog, so is TRT considered steroids or is it the dose? TRT is when you're given the most popular steroid, testosterone, in a small amount that's just enough to get you to normal levels. And when you're going to a doctor, they have you come back and do blood work a few times to see where your levels are at, and they'll adjust the dose up or down accordingly until they like where you're at, where your test levels are at. They want you in a specific normal range. They don't want you too low and they don't want you too high. That's TRT. So it's not being on steroids. I wouldn't consider it being. You're taking a steroid, but it's through a doctor, and it's just enough to replace what your body no longer produces on its own. It's not like taking steroids like every knucklehead I know is, taking a gram of test a week and a gram of tren and a gram of EQ and 100 milligrams of Anadrol and 10 IUs of GH. And, that's a cycle, dude. Patrick over here, thank you for this video. I'm so tired of Greg Doucette and more plates, more dates, claiming 200 milligrams a cycle. Really just trying to promote his TRT clinic. Who's got a TRT clinic? Does Greg? I didn't know he did. Does Derek for more plates have a TRT clinic? Well, good for him. I mean, it's a good business. Theopolos, hey Ron, you mentioned DECA and EQ. I'm actually week 2 on test DECA and EQ right now. I feel great in full. Can't wait for everything to kick in already. Feeling great, yeah. Those are the classics, There's no secret cycles. Test plus 1 or 2 other things, and you should be golden, especially if you're just off-season trying to make gains. You shouldn't need like 5 different steroids or anything like that. You should be good with 2 or 3. Keep it simple, guys. The song is gone. What song? No audio. I have no sound? Oh, shit. Is that true? Oh. All right, well, in that case, I'm going to go. Thanks, guys, for watching. Appreciate it. We'll see you right here next time. Bye-bye.